Hi Flosstube, I'm Deb. I'm the Traveling Stocking Stitcher. I'm trying something a little different today. I'm outside because I have lots of shiny things to show you. I'm calling this episode Shiny Happy People, the REM song, because when I was thinking of titles, I was going to be going to the Chatelaine weekend retreat as part of the Queen City Stitch Retreat, and it was their first one that they've ever done. And when I was thinking of titles, I thought shiny and happy people, because there were very happy people there looking at and stitching chatelaines all weekend. So that's the episode. I just got back a couple days ago, and I'm going to show you some of the things that you haven't seen before that I got done in time for the retreat. And then at the end here, I took extensive close-up photos of everything on the brag table. I'll show you the things that I brought along. This is Venice Mandala, and I almost got it all beaded in time for the retreat. I'll show you the middle, because the middle is all done. Let's see. And I ran out of beads along the purple edge here, so I didn't want to keep beading because I was concerned about getting caught in the Q-snap and catching the thread on it. So once I get more beads, I will finish this off and we will be done, but this is what it looks like. As part of the Venice Mandala chart, they also have a bonus chart, and in here is, I did the bonus chart, and this is, I'm hoping you pick up the sparkle out here, because this is really sparkly. I forget what the name of it is. It's a 14 count Charles Craft. It's something silver dusted. I'll put the name down below, but so I did this, and you see the little revelers on there, and I left the windows blank because I've done this chart, or the windows I've stitched. On that alone, there's 4 sides with 3 windows, and then I did a couple of these for smalls for the retreat, and just didn't want to stitch those inserts again. So I had this idea that I looked at my pictures from my trip to Venice and got some inspiration and came up with some ideas of things that I could do. And so these are my prototypes I've designed, and this is the bell tower, looking out at the bell tower of the top of the bell tower in Piazza San Marco. There is a winged lion statue up there that is the patron saint of Venice, and so you're looking out of it kind of at an angle. My husband said, well, it's not centered. It drives me nuts, but you're looking out a window, you might not be dead on it. So so this is I'll finish these. I'll do these and frame them up separately. And then Doge's Palace, and I'll put up pictures to contrast against those so you can see. I did sort of a modified rice stitch on this to do the tiles of the brick on the diagonal sections that they have on there. So that is the Doge's Palace, also in Piazza San Marco. I did a Michael Powell Venice chart a while back, and I created some Venetian glass lanterns. They blow glass in Venice, and so I used a combination of 032 Krynic with different colored Krynic to create some glass lanterns hanging in the window. And then the last one that I did was a gondola with bricole, I believe are the name of the poles that they have out there. And so I got a little bit of shine there on the gondola. And the other big piece that I did finish for the retreat is Pompeji. Stand back here and get you a good look at it. But every time I would take this outside to stitch on it, it just wouldn't show. The shine was amazing that I wouldn't see inside. Sometimes I'd use two colors that were green. It's like, well, they look like the same thing. I'd take them outside and they were clearly different colors. So even at the retreat, when I took this into the room, it looked more orangey. So hopefully the sun will let you see the shine, and will also let you see the little more true colors of the design. So I'll get into the middle here, because this is where the whole centerpiece is pretty much beaded. Of course, the sun's going behind a cloud right now, but there's fish there. See if I can get kind of an angle on it. And because this is almost a full coverage piece, there's not a lot of other beads. Around the perimeter on the outside, you can see that there's kind of two beads spaced out every seven stitches, but a little bit of beading in the corners and some in the villa itself. But yeah, the bulk of it is right in the middle here. So that is Pompeji on 28 count Belfast linen. Hopefully you can see this, and you can see it in the sunlight and how beautiful it is. And at the retreat I started a couple of new chatelaines, and so this one is beaded peacock tile, and this is on a 28 count opalescent white, and done a little bit more since I left the retreat. The retreat was the 10th through the 13th of July, and so got a little bit more done on this. And then the other one that I started is Tuscany Town. So this is the center, and then it's going to work out from it's a mandala, and so it will work out and repeat around the edges here. So this is my fantastic needle minder, Dawn TCB on Instagram, and Paige Fowler 40 on Instagram. They were my table mates, and they gave us some needle minders. I've got that one, which goes really well with that center, and they gave everybody a little needle minder that had their initial, a little bedazzled one, and you can put your needle through the side there. So thank you guys for that. I will now let you look at the fantastic brag table of all the incredible work that was there from Chatelaine. So we'll see you on the other side. This was the Chatelaine weekend, the first held by the Queen City Stitch Retreat folks that put that on, and this is in Charlotte, North Carolina. Everybody got a workshop to work on as part of this, and the water lily beaded tile workshop was designed by Katie Tanaik of Sosna Designs, and this is an example of what it looks like. And we got everything, the fancy floss, the beads, the fabric. We just needed to supply the DMC for it. And here it is in progress. Amy at Fiber Arts Amy, who does part of the retreat as a co-host, and everybody also got a Clay by Kim Dragon needle minder in their goodie bag. So this is a photo of all the Chatelaine workshops done in a sampler. Katie designed the one in the middle, but clockwise it's the Jessica Rice Islets and Rose workshop. So here the first one is an example of the Jessica tile. This was one that was already completed by Jessie Marie Does Stuff, and we'll get in close here to see the different types of Jessicas that are out there. When you registered for the retreat, you specified which of the workshops you wanted, and then when you got to the retreat, everything you needed was available, the fabric and the floss. So twice a day we would have somebody from the retreat team stop by our table and teach us one of the stitches. This is an example of the rice stitch. This was done by Amy, Fiber Arts Amy, and she subbed the silver in for gold on this one. So this was an example of what, you could pick one of the 4 designs that you wanted to work with. This one is the example of the Rhodes workshop. And I'm not sure if Alma or Maggie is the one that stitched this up. I know Maggie taught the class on the Rhodes stitches. This is the one that actually I had received, and I haven't stitched it yet, but it is a lovely piece to practice your Rhodes stitches on. This next one is the Eyelets workshop. I don't see a finished piece on this one, but I took this one, Charlotte, from Stitching with the Kids Around, finished it shortly after the retreat, so I popped that in here. Lavender Garden pin cushion that Amy made out of it. It's from the Gift of Stitching exclusive that Martina, back then she was Martina Weber when this was first put out, of Chatelaine Design. And so Amy made a little pin cushion that we could put pins on it to mark our things. And this is another one that Amy did. This is part of the Summer Fruit 3 collection. This is the pineapple that she had done. This is beaded scarab tile that Maggie, who is Kitschy Whips, she is also one of the co-hosts of the retreat with Amy. And this one I do know the fabric on. This is on Chai Love You from Fiberlicious. A lot of people didn't have things tagged, so I apologize. If you recognize one of your pieces or know what it is, please feel free to tag yourself in the notes down below, and I will update that in the comments section. And this is Violet Basket and Stitcher's Toys design, and Holly made this into a beautiful box. This is fantastic. So she put something on the binding. She's got a piece on the top. She took a ruler and cut that up to make the sides of the box. This is not how the design is intended to be used, but she did a fantastic job at doing this. And then you open it up, inside there's more chatelaines. So the Violet Basket and Stitcher's Toys design does have a lot of these different similar violet looking charts, but she's got it loaded with a number of these. I think this is a needle book. There's some scissors in there that go very nicely with it, and all of the little tools that are in there. So that was a lovely piece. Next up we have Sparkling Peacock Mandala in the center that Alma Z has started. She is the Tattooed Reading Owl 5895 on YouTube and the_tattooed_crafting_owl on Instagram. This is also Sparkling Peacock Mandala, and this is completed. This was done by Elena. She is Stitching Farmer. It's Stitching PHARMER. She's on YouTube and Instagram. And so this is a beautiful piece that she's done. I apologize for the shadows. There was all the natural light, the bank of windows across the room from the brag table, so it was hard to stay out of the way and avoid the shadows. But as I filmed, I realized I needed to slow down and take more time to be able to see all the intricate details. So I'm just going to let you watch here and let you see all the beauty that's on these chatelaines. And here is Elena with her finished piece. This is one that Katie had designed. This is, her Instagram is Kate, Neyck, and I think this was the first one that she designed and stitched. This one's called Pollinators. This is another piece that Katie designed and stitched. I don't think she has it available. Her company is Sosna Designs, Sosna Designs. And this is a chatelaine Moonstone Garden Mini Mystery 06, and Katie stitched this one. The European Cross Stitch Company is promoting a Stitcher's Journey through Chatelaine Sal or Stitch Along that started at the beginning of the year, I think. And so they're doing a series of sals. This is one of them. And Dana de Groot, I think, is hosting this Facebook group, Sal. And speaking of sals, next up we have the water garden sal. We've got a few examples of that. Maggie and Amy also started a sal at the first of the year. This is Maggie's. I think she did this on garden. There were 4 fabrics that they picked for recommended fabrics from Oak Crown Studios, which is the fabric company that Amy owns. And a number of people started chatelaines at the retreat, and a lot of people who attended this water garden was their first chatelaine, so that was really fun to see this. I think this one belongs to Sally. She has it S Hayes 2124. And it looks like it's on a similar green fabric. And this one is Jen Weibel's water garden. Jen has the Instagram of Jen Weibel, JENNWEIBEL. This is on a Fibrolicious fabric, she said. And then this one happens to be mine. I'm at on 28 count Celestine August Lugana from Fiber on a Whim, and I am about through middle of June. I didn't get the June piece done, so I'm a little bit behind on that one, but that's my version of Water Garden. And then this is the Summer Water Garden. This is the one that they have announced for the 2026 sal, since it was such a popular sal to get people started on chatelaines. This is the one. Maggie has started this one. She's got the center done and starting working on the perimeter around that. So if you're interested in joining up on that sal, that's going to start. You just have to give them proof of purchase that you bought the chart, and they'll let you into the Facebook group to find all the information about that. And the next we have here is another one of Alma Z's. This is Paris that she has done. I believe she did this one in all DMCs, if I remember hearing that at the retreat. And so this is a gorgeous piece that she's done here. I have the Paris kit as well, and I bought some fabric called Blush at the retreat from Amy from Oak Crown Studios. So I'm looking forward to starting this one, so I'll let you take a look at this one. And let me just mention lanterns by Chatelaine. Martina knew her way around a lantern. There's a number of them that you'll see out here on the table here. They just glow, so I'll let you take a look here. We've got Sacre Coeur on the right there. Beautiful rose perimeter. Not sure if that's the Palace of Justice. There's, of course, 4 Eiffel Towers on this one. This is Notre Dame, Arc de Triomphe. This is the Paris Opera Building, Garnier Palace. And I know I've read what buildings these are, but I can't recall what this one is. And I'm not sure if this is Invalid. It looks more like maybe the Pantheon. We had a couple people working on Paris at the retreat. This is Angela on Instagram. She is Pretty Little X's, Pretty Little XS, and this is her photo by the banner. She had finished the last Eiffel Tower at the retreat, so she was quite excited about that. And then this is her work before she finished that Eiffel Tower, so I'll get you a close-up look of her work as well from the brag table. And now we're off to Venice. This is Almaziz, and she has got the start of the center. I think she's already beaded her center as well, and done some of the beading around the perimeter, it looks like. And oh, she's got one window on there too. It's kind of a blue and white um, fabric. I don't know what the fabrics on most of these. They weren't tagged. So if you know what yours is, please let me know. And yeah, she's got a start on the gold beads around the perimeter. And all the centerpiece beaded in there. And she also has got a start on the specialty stitches. And then this is my version of Venice. I'm Deb, the traveling stocking stitcher, and this is done on a 28 count white Joblin. And I hope to have it all beaded, but I did run out of beads. There's gold beads around the perimeter that I didn't uh, have enough to finish with, and I didn't want to keep beading for fear I was going to get caught thread on the beads and, you know, run into my Q-snap. There's not a ton of additional beads around the outside. I think there's the balconies of each of the windows has a row of beads, and I think there's maybe one bead in the Rialto Bridge, and a few are on the masks in the outside area. But we'll get a close-in look at the center here, which is all beaded. And I tried something that I'd seen on Instagram. I used plain old sewing thread to attach the beads, and I saw somebody who did a comparison using that in DMC, and I think she may have already also compared it against like a Nymo or an invisible thread. And I was really happy with it's thin, it keeps the beads straight, so I would do that again. As a matter of fact, that's what I did the Pompeji one that you'll see shortly here too with, and applied my beads that way. So there's the gold section of the beads, the ones I ran out of around the purple area. And I did do some of these corner areas. They do have their beads in here, and then this is about where I stopped. And here's another example of those lanterns that Martina did so well. Here are the close-up of the windows. The first one is end of a gondola, and then the middle one's the same on all of them, the lighthouse and the posts, and then the lion on the pedestal is the symbol for St. Mark, Piazza San Marco. And then here we have one of the buildings along the Grand Canal, and then on the right is one of the bell towers. And apologize for them being upside down, but this is one of the Venice Revelers on the one side, and then another building over on the right-hand side looking out the window there. And the last set of windows is, oh, I'm not going to remember the name of it, domed church. And then on the right there, and then on the left is Academia Bridge, I believe. And I did do a couple of the Venetian masks. I kind of took the ones from the corner and put them all together in a small frame here, and added Chatelaine Weekend 2025 to create small. And I also did one with the winged lion on the pedestal there, and put Chatelaine Weekend 2025 at the bottom of that to create a small. This is on 32 count light colonial pumpkin, both of those linen. And here's the font. I handed this out to everybody so that if they wanted to use this font, it's not the exact font from the logo, but if people wanted to personalize their stitching for the weekend, I handed this out to everybody to be able to use. And then this is the Venice bonus chart. The Venice chart had a extra chart in there that is just a square piece, and I did this on 14 count Stardust Silver Dusted Aida by Charles Craft. And I left the windows blank. Here are the little revelers down in the corner, the Venetian revelers on either side. And I left the inserts in the windows blank, and I created some designs that go in there. And this one is looking out at the Piazza San Marco bell tower, and next one is looking at the Doge's Palace, also in the Piazza San Marco. And then I've got an example of a gondola and the poles, the Briccole poles in the canals of Venice. And then I also designed a Venetian glass lantern. And this is another one of mine. This is Pompeji Gardens Mandala. It's on a 28 count Midas, which is a Belfast linen from Picture This Plus. And just got it beaded just in the nick of time for the retreat. Pretty much the entire center is beaded. It did call for French knots for the eyes of the fish, but I put little black beads in there instead. And it was kind of a challenge to figure what all the specialty stitches, where they went. And so if you're interested in this, I do have a spreadsheet that I put a little more detail in to help me figure out where things went when they took the old class file and reduced them into a single full chart. The instructions just got all put together, and they aren't necessarily in any really identifiable order. So here are the corners here. A little bit of beading on those, not a ton of beading. The only thing that's different from this chart, the fountains and the birds on the fountains are the only pieces that are different. Other than that, all four corners of the mandala are pretty much identical. And I did do a little bit of a change. I wanted to see more of the fabric. So there is some, above the roofs of each of the villas, there's supposed to be some half stitches that I chose not to do. I wanted to see more of the fabric. I also left, you see that the flower pot in the middle of the upper part of the window. I left that blank too to make it just kind of look like there was a glow of light coming from inside. You can see it in the upper right hand corner there. I left that as just the fabric and not stitched it because it was all yellows anyway. This is this section where I left it off above the villas. There was blue. It just didn't look right. It would have looked like clouds on a whiter fabric, but with the gold it didn't make sense to have it blue sky. And then on the corners you see kind of those curly cues in blue. There was another row of half stitches around those as well that I eliminated to show off more of the fabric and not lose the curly cues. And then this one, also mine, this is Gardens of London. Here's the centerpiece on it here. It's a queen stitch right in the middle there. It is a variegated, I think it's called Winterbrook. It makes a really pretty pastel center. This is on a 28 count 28 count white Jobelin fabric. Same that I did on the Venice one. That's the telephone booth, and I modified the guardsman there a little bit. His hat was not quite as round, so I used some whisper and did about 6 satin stitches to make it a little bit taller. He had plenty of headroom there in his guard's tower, so changed him a little bit. And then this is one of the 4 gardens that are surrounding the center. Each one's a little bit different. It's got this pretty rose border around it. And then this is the first building around the perimeter. This is, I need a little more backstitching on it, but this is another one of those lanterns that Martina did. This is the British Museum. And then this is one of her beautiful lanterns that she has recreated almost identically from what they actually look like. And this is also mine. This is Lake Como, and this is on a 32 count Azure Blue Lugana. And I've got start of the 3rd villa. I've half backstitched the top villa there, but there's also a section in the middle or outside, just around the perimeter of that middle square that I haven't done yet. I figured it would be easier to do the frame around that and be able to identify where things go. I think there's like little flowers that go around the outside of that and kind of a fence. This is the middle. Got the specialty stitches, but not the beading in yet. And this villa is stitched, but not back stitched. And there's a gate in the corner. They'll be in all 4 corners. Here's some more lanterns that Martina did. And then this is some swans in the corner, and there's over 1 stitching up above that. I did a modified version of this that you'll see at the end for the smalls exchange that I did. And there's those lanterns that just glow. And this is the half that I do have backstitched, but the other half is not done yet. So you can see the difference on how much that will make a difference on the appearance. One other thing I put on the brag table is the Using Pattern Keeper for Chatelaine PDF instructions. That is available on the chatelaine.de website. And I did all the ones you had seen previously in Pattern Keeper. This next one I'm about to show you unfortunately did not load successfully. This is Mini Mystery Mandala 03. I did this on a 16 count white aida. And so it is possible to do a chatelaine on aida. There weren't a ton of specialty stitches that required you, I don't think any that required you to pierce the fabric, but just get yourself a sharp needle, and that's not too difficult to do on aida. This is the first chatelaine that I did. I started out small to see how things went and haven't looked back. And here's another Mini Mystery Mandala 02, but I don't know who did this one. This was not tagged. So I apologize if this is yours or you know whose it is. Another one of those smaller Mini Mystery Mandalas. This is 02, as I said. And then this is another one. I don't know whose it is. I do know it's Poison Garden, Hortus Venenum, and one of these belongs to Maggie, Kitschy Whips, but I'm not sure which of the 2 are hers. Here's another one that's a little further along of the same design, the Poison Garden. It's a really pretty center. I know this is a very popular one among people as well, so get a close-up here so you can check it out. This one is also by Maggie. This is called Friendship Sampler, and I believe it's on Oak Crown Studio fabric as well. This is Halloween Kitty Mandala. This is started by Alma. And by contrast, this is another Halloween Kitty that was done by Maggie. And this is done on a fabric from Oak Crown Studios called Kitschy Whips. That's Maggie Sandal, and her friend Amy named the fabric after her. So this one's got all kinds of fun spiders and pumpkins and spider webs. It's got some cats, and those cats look like they've got some sparkly whiskers. I believe those little spiders there and the bats are 1/1. And not to be confused with Halloween Kitty Mandala, this is Halloween Spiders Lace. It also features cats and spiders. This came to the brag table late. I'm not sure whose it was, but this is cats and Halloween. And this is also one of Maggie's. This one is called Le Parfum. And this is done on mermaid mules, and it is a Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers fabric. This is also by Maggie. This is called Rainy Days Season Autumn. And I tried to find what fabric it was. I was looking at her Instagram trying to figure it out. Looks like it's a pretty, almost a gray linen. And this is not one that I would have picked out of one that I want to do, but boy, when I look at it, it's so pretty with the purples and the aquas in the middle. Very beautiful. And it also looks like there's not a lot of real dense stitching in this one, so it would probably be a good starter piece for somebody. It's not a huge mandala, and there's a lot of open space, negative space, where there aren't stitches. So if you're thinking about one you want to start, this might be a good choice for you. And this is also Maggie's. This is the start of the center. This is called Little Tuscany, and it is on Tarnish by Picture This Plus. This is another one I have on order. I don't have the kit yet, but I'm liking it on this darker fabric. And one that didn't quite make it to the brag table, but I included it in here because Melanie Rowe finished Little Tuscany. She did it on black right near the end of the retreat. So this is just a gorgeous one. I didn't get a chance to get video of it, but I just inserted the picture here that I took of her finish. And this is another really popular one, and for good reason. Boy, look at the detail and the watercolor effect around the outside of that square. This is Butterfly Lace Mandala by Sally. She is Shays 2124, Shayes 2124 on Instagram, and all those butterflies over one. But man, it's worth it for the way they look. There's still a lot of butterflies to go in there, but boy, that looks fantastic. I'll let you look at it here because I know this is one that a lot of people want to do. And this is a beautiful little Easter egg from Rosie. Rosie came all the way from the Philippines. We've got a number of her pieces out on the brag table. And Rosie's handle is Midnight Stitches. It's MYDNYT_stitches. This is another one of hers. This is Enchanted Summer Afternoon. And it's this lovely bell pull. This design has a skep. We had a lot of discussion about this at our table. It's what a man-made beehive is called. It's a container where it's made out of straw or dried crop stems or wicker that is made for bees to live in. And this particular chart has lots of little tiny bees that are very sweet on this design. Some close-up of those bees. Little berries. And here's a photo of Rosie holding that very design, the Enchanted Summer Afternoon bell pull. Another one Rosie did is the medieval small herb star 3. This particular one is the Nigella sativa, but it is a set of herb stars that Chatelaine has. We saw a version of this earlier that Amy had created into a pincushion, but this is Rosie's, and it's from the Gift of Stitching exclusive that Martina was recently released. It was originally published in a magazine, I believe. And so this is Rosie's version. Here's a photo of Rosie with all three of those finishes we just looked at. The Nigella Sativa, the Enchanted Summer Afternoon, and the Lavender Garden. And this is one of Rosie's whips. This is amazing, amazing Lavender Garden Kaleidoscope that Rosie has in progress. And next we're going to move on to work by Charlotte. She is stitching with the kids around both on YouTube and Instagram, and she has an extensive collection of chatelaines. This particular one is just massive. This is a Castle Gottorf and the Baroque Gardens, commonly called Baroque Gardens, although there's a smaller Baroque Gardens available as well. But this is just a fantastic piece of work. And Charlotte came from the UK to be at this retreat along with Nicola, and so it was a joy to have those guys at the retreat. And it's just fabulous work that Charlotte has done. We've got a number of pieces that she managed to bring along with her. You can see that just the size of this. This is 307 stitches wide by 540 stitches long. And she's got, all the framework in here. She's got a number of those filled out. That are already completed. So this represents an incredible amount of work on Charlotte's part. And I have a couple more of Charlotte's that unfortunately I didn't get great video of. I think I lost my place. I was going along here. This one is Egypt Garden Mandala. This is by Charlotte, but I've got a still photo I can put in here. And then this is also Charlotte's, and it is Bluebell Lace Mandala. Took a little bit of Instagram sleuthing to find who was working on what and what the names of some of these designs were. And this is also Charlotte's. This is Taj Mahal Mandala. And I love this green fabric because this is such a very pale pastel almost colors. And so this green really makes it stand out. This one is also by Charlotte, and this is Beaded Marie Antoinette's Tile. And it's just loaded up with beads. And this is Charlotte's version of beaded scarab tile. We saw Maggie's earlier in the video, and this is on a really pretty bright blue. And I think it's worth mentioning that if you are intimidated about doing a chatelaine, there's a lot of negative space. Some people do these huge, gigantic, full coverage pieces with hundreds of thousands of stitches. Chatelaines, not always that much real estate that you have to stitch. So um, if you're intimidated, try one of these smaller ones that has, some motifs, but a lot of breathing room between the spaces. This is another one by Charlotte. This is called Winter Fairy, and it looks like it's on an opalescent fabric. Next up, we have another band sampler by Charlotte. This is Snowflake Nativity Sampler. Next up, we have a number of fully finished objects. This is from Dawn. She is Dawn TCB on Instagram, and she and Paige drove to the retreat, so they were able to bring some finished items, and they came up from Knoxville. So this one is Bird Tapestry 8, the Red Cardinal. Next we have a series that Dawn did. She's got 3 of the 4 complete. This is called Spring Filigree. And something unique and really a great idea is Dawn designed her house during each of the seasons. So she, on each of the sides of the mandala, she created a view of her house throughout the seasons. And now this one is the summer filigree, and she's done the same thing here with the houses, and of course everything looks different in the summertime versus the spring or the fall. And the third in the series would be Autumn Filigree, also by Dawn, with the houses on there. She said she's still got winter left to do yet, so she's got 3 of the 4 completed. And this is beautiful. This is blue Moroccan lace, and she did a conversion to purple. And so it's, I guess, purple Moroccan lace. And this is also by Dawn, and it's got a beautiful frame on it. Again, the windows in the background are reflecting, so it's a little tricky to get photos of things that had glass on them. Her conversion is in the Chatelaine support group on Facebook in the files section. So if you're interested in stitching this purple conversion, she did it on 32 count Artemis Lugana by Atomic Ranch. And next up we have Holland Mandala, also called Springtime Mandala. and it's of the Netherlands, and this is Dawn's piece as well. This is just stunning. Very beautiful, enormous design. And I didn't realize till just now, looking at the playback and recording the voiceover, this little center Delft blue button, blue and white button in the center. That's beautiful. There are so many intricate details that you could look at these things for hours. You see the little windmills along the border there, and uh, yeah, you just could spend all day looking at one of these pieces. And just to put this in historical context, Martina Rosenberg was designing these while everybody else was designing country geese. Um, it's stunning, the intricacy of her designs. And we had a couple of people working on this at the retreat. This is the center, and I apologize, my notes aren't great. I know one was from Debbie, who is Owl and Gator Stitcher, and there's another person at that table that I didn't remember which is whose. I think this might be Debbie's, um, who was also working on the Holland mandala. And now we're back to Dawn's work again. This is a framed version of Sleeping Beauty mandala, and this is just incredible with the castle and all the gates and the hedges, which I understand were a lot of confetti to do, but I know everybody loves this one. And look at the fountains on these as well. Take a good look and see the detail on these here. The fountains coming up in the corners here. Almost. Oh no, I swerved away at the last minute. And here's one of the fountains that are in the corner. I just love how those look. The way Martina was able to capture flowing water is astounding, and it just sparkles and it looks like a functional fountain. And this next one is also Dawn's small polar lights tile, which is densely packed, a full coverage with some beautiful beads around the edges to offset it. Now look closely at this one. This is Christmas Mandala by Dawn, and this is done on a 32 count opal morning mist forbidden fiber co. And Dawn stitched this one, and I didn't realize it until I was going to look for this next chart, next design to see what the name of it was. But Dawn did a conversion, and I would not have guessed they were the same design. So take a good look at this one, and we'll see the conversion in a minute here. This is a peppermint conversion that Dawn created, and it's incredible. It's on lime jobelin, and it's the same design, but she made it her own. This is an unbelievable conversion. Dawn also did the Chatelaine Christmas tree skirt, and she's got some beautiful beaded trim around the edges, and apparently each one of those Christmas trees is unique. There's, I think, four of them on here, and you've got all the different snowflakes are all different, and just I'll open it up here and let you take a look at it, see the different designs. Yeah, I told Dawn she really needed to take an entire table and spread it out because I don't know if people really appreciated it and opened it up to see its full glory here. And one more from Dawn. This is Embroidered Elegance 4. As the name implies, there are a series of these. This one is done on wood violet Joblin from ABC Stitch Therapy. And this chicken, can I just say how much I love this chicken? This is Easter hen, and this was done by Sarah T. And I would not have given it a second look, but seeing it in person made all the difference. And now I want to stitch this sassy chicken. I love the variegation in the lettering, the Happy Easter. I love the border. It's just bright and cheerful, and it's just a fantastic stitch. Here's another one by Sarah T. This is Gothic Ornament 4. And this is now also in my list of things that I am going to do. I bought this chart as a result of seeing it here on the brag table. It's just, I'd looked at this before and thought, ah, it's pretty. But seeing it in person, putting it on the brown fabric, it is, it's beautiful. It's unbelievably stunning. And this is from Angela, Pretty Little X's. We've seen some of her work before. This is Octopus Treasure Cave, and she did this on Into the Veil, which is Fiberlicious fabric. And I appreciate those of you who identified your fabric, made my work a little bit easier. And so I can tell you guys what the material was that people were stitching on. I love these little, coming up here, the Jessica stitches tentacles on the octopus. Octopi. More than one, I think. Yeah, they are. This one is Kathy's Violets. This one was done by Paige. Paige is Paige Fowler 40 on Instagram. And this one is called Small Halloweeny Pumpkin Mandala. It's on some Atomic Ranch fabric. And Paige did this. I told her that I don't do Halloween, I don't do brown, but I would stitch this just based on the work you've done here. This is, I love this. I don't do orange. Yeah, none of it makes sense, but I would stitch this. So beautiful work. That's the incredible thing about this weekend. Most of us had never seen another chatelaine in person unless we'd stitched one ourselves. So to come here and see things that you would never have even thought twice of looking at on the website, it was just an amazing experience to see these stitched. There were over 100 either in process or fully finished or finished that people were working on. It was just amazing to see these all in one place. Now let's play Name That Mandala. I know you've seen this one before. I'll start at the middle and pull back, and yes, it is Misty Morning Vineyard um, with the peacocks on all the different sides. And this one was done by Kay, and she had a number of fully finished pieces there as well. Some just amazing work. And all the grapevines, I believe they are, vineyard, yep, and then each of the peacocks on the side on the beautiful filigree gate. Incredible work. And it has the telltale sign of being a Rensselaer studio frame with the peacock feather cutouts in the corner, hand painted, I'm assuming. Lovely framing job. It goes so well with the colors and the subject matter. And here's another one by Kay. This is Caribbean Mandala. And sorry about the glass reflection here, but I've got a few different angles I can get at it that will show you a little bit better the true colors on the fabric. I love those flamingos in silhouette, the corner around the center. And I love these star details along the top border there. Star stitch, I don't think I've seen that one used before. And who else but Martina would think of putting Algerian islets in a starfish, and yet it's perfect. It's and here's some in a butterfly, and it works so well. And it's not a detail that I noticed until, again, I'm looking at this video again. I didn't notice it in person, but as I'm going through and putting in the commentary here, I'm seeing things I didn't see before. I did see this egg. I love this egg with the little detail that the flamingos are standing watch over the nest. And I think that's just an adorable, adorable detail. here's a little different take. You can see the color of the fabric, I think, a little bit better. This is Breaking Dawn, is fabrics by Stephanie. And so this is that same piece, but the pink just showed up a little bit different on this clip, so I thought I would include that in here as well. All right, this next one we're going to be looking at for a while because this is the one that after I saw this on the brag table, I immediately walked over to Kay at table 6 and said, who is responsible for me spending months of my life now having to stitch this, because it is breathtaking. This is Royal Tudor, and I again had looked this before, thought, oh, that's pretty, but the richness, the colors, it's got black work, it's got all the beading, and it's the crowns are astounding. I think she said she changed one of the colors of the crowns, but yeah, this made it into my basket right quick. And this center, let's just say this center is the thing that pushed me right over the edge. I mean, it glows. Because look at the sparkle on this. I don't know. They got to be made out of some radioactive isotopes or something, but I don't care. I'm willing to risk my life to stitch something with this much sparkle in it. It's just, it's astounding. It's breathtaking. Thank you, Kay, for bringing this in for us to see. Here's more beautiful work by Kay. This is Moroccan Town. She did this on Apricot Dream Joblin from Country Stitch, and it has all the ear markings of another Rensel Studios framing job. You can see how that mat is cut to precision around the objects and contoured just perfectly. get in a little closer and look at, I think those look like storks on either side of what looks like maybe an oven, all the way around. You know, we had this conversation at the retreat too that Martina would sneak little things. Dawn had a little hedgehog that somehow Martina communicated a hedgehog in about 6 stitches, and it was clearly a hedgehog in one of her designs that she had. And yeah, in these corners, these beautiful blue, regal, royal blue colors um, in the corners are just fascinating. And there's one of those little storks, I think they are, sitting on a nest in the corner there. Um, yeah, and I hope y'all aren't doing a drinking game because every time I say the word beautiful, um, this video is going to be at least 2 hours long. You're going to be passed out before you get done with it. So I apologize for the overuse of the word beautiful, but there are no other words. And Kay was able to ring the bell at the retreat on this one. She finished up the last stitches on Rainforest Mandala. And here it is. It made it onto the brag table midway into the retreat. And this is another one where the center just sparkles. The shine on this one is more brilliant than some of the others. It's just, you can see the way the light plays on that is remarkable. And there's these parrots and butterflies that she did. Just incredible color and design. I think she did say she made a change on one of the parrots. I think it's the next one coming up here. She changed green to actually use parrot green. I think I just thought it stood out a little bit better. But we've got a little, is that a sloth, I think, on there? And just all kinds of great detail. And I mean, even the frogs and the toads, the tree toads, glisten on Martina's designs. And I think, yeah, this is the green parrot coming up here. Here's a toucan. Beautiful red macaw. Scarlet macaw. I think this little guy is a bush baby. And as we're in the tropics, I thought I would throw this whip in. This is done by Kathy Five Boys, Kathy with a C on Instagram, and beautiful Hawaiian garden mandala. And this is Frosty Knot Garden. This was done by Jessie Marie of Jessie Marie Does Stuff of Whip Go fame. Seen her on Flosstube. And this is also a very commonly stitched one. We see this one a lot, and it's rightly so. It's really a beautiful one. Jessie Marie also did this one. This is Martina's Roses. It's a very pretty one. This was made into a biscornu in the Smalls Exchange. This is another very pretty one by Melissa, and it is Freesia Crystals. I think this is one that she recently finished up, and I did hear that those Freesia flowers were all over one, which she didn't realize going in. So beware, if this one catches your eye, you got some over one stitching in your future. And again, another fantastic framing job, and the colors of the frame and the cutouts and the color of the mat are so complementary, and they work so well together. And here is a picture of Elena. She is stitching Farmer, and she is holding her Versailles mandala. And we'll get in here and take a closer look at it. And another very beautiful piece that's been high on my list for a long time. The only thing that kind of deters me is there seems like there's a lot of repeating elements in there, and I think I may have heard her mention that too. But it does have the pieces are gorgeous. The elements are just very lovely. This is another one that's got some fantastic fountains in it. We'll see those coming up in a little bit here. Here's the monogram of King Louis XVI. Here comes one of those fountains in the corner here. Very lovely, done with, white or clear crystals. And that repeats in all four of the corners of the inner corners. There's another one here. I think these are all similar, but great effect on those. Another great detail is Marie Antoinette's monogram or royal cipher with the M and the A intertwined. Lovely detail that's on here. And you've got the orangerie represented with the fruit trees and the fleur-de-lis in the corner. And I love this bow as well. The big one in the corner, and then the ones that are cross-hatched with the gold. It's just a really lovely detail. Even this little garden with the little Jessica stitches in it just below it is a nice touch. And again, this gate, remarkable, but I think you have to stitch that gate 3 times if I'm remembering correctly. And this right here, this is the real kicker, that building. Very long and lots of beige. That might be the end of my hopes for ever stitching Versailles. Here comes gate number 3. And this fountain here, this is, I mean, it just, you can see the movement in that water plume. And this is Egyptian Garden Mandala. We saw a version of this earlier. This is a little farther along. This is by Becky K. She is Aslan's Cub on Instagram, and she does have a floss tube. It's called Maine Girl in AZ, Maine, like the state, Girl in AZ for Arizona. And she just put a recap up of the same brag table a couple of days ago, a Flosstube Extra, and it's a great recap. It's a little more abbreviated version, so if you don't have time to watch 2 hours of this again and you need a quick fix of chatelaines, go check her video out as well. She caught a few things that I didn't see. There's chatelaines all over the place, so it's hard keeping track of all. So she found a few whips and some other things that I did not capture in my video. So go check her out if you need to see some more chatelaines. It's a little hard to read the tag that was on here, but I think it says something about sugar maple. It looks like an opalescent fabric, uh, possibly fiberlicious. And this is Christmas Mandala. We saw Dawn's version of it earlier, and the one that she'd done the peppermint version of. And this is Becky K's version. And this looks like this would not take terribly long to stitch. If somebody wanted to do a small chatelaine, this might be a good one to get started on. Looks like there's a lot of beads on there, so you get a lot of bling for your surface area there. And here is another Frosty Knot Garden. This is also by Becky K. And this one by Becky K was labeled as Advent Snowflake, but I couldn't find this one on the Chatelaine.de website, so I don't know if this is one of the ones that came out of a magazine perhaps, but boy, it's really pretty. It's very lovely, great fabric that she's got it on there. Beautiful silver and blues. Here's another view of it where the lighting is slightly different, so I thought I'd include both these clips. I'm trying to remember which one actually is the more true color, but they're both pretty. And here are the kit components for the Desert Mandala. And the fabric is Daybreak. This is by Becky K. So this is one she's going to start. There's the beads for it. This is the one that's kind of a um, southwestern U.S. mandala. And this absolutely fantastic looking piece of fabric is a hand painted piece, an opalescent that Becky K had done, and she's going to be doing Pompeji gardens on it. So this is the kit components that will go with that. Stacy brought this incredible book of mandala patterns. This is Taj Mahal Mandala Garden, and Poison Garden Mandala. Got a binder of all of these different charts. This is Chatelaine Sampler, and we've got Knot Garden. This is Polar Lights Sampler. Weeping Willow Keep. I don't think I've seen that one before. Alhambra Garden. Misty Morning Vineyard. This one is Halloween Cats and Mice and Moon. This is Egypt Garden, Mandala Garden. The Medieval Town Mandala. White Nights in St. Petersburg Mandala. It's the Celtic Garden Mandala. This one says for Mini Mystery Q, which I'd never seen before. This is Victorian Ladies Boudoir. This is worth looking up if you're interested. There are 3 different ladies, and they are Project Q, R, and S. This is the Friendship Sampler. And the Vienna Mandala. Mini Mystery 01 from 2008. And the Provence Mandala. And Evening in the Park. I'm surprised we didn't see any of these. It's a very common one that's out there. Now, they did request that we keep the brag table just to Chatelaines only. However, there was one exception. Alma's husband completed his first cross stitch, and so that was allowed to be on the table to commemorate the special occasion that it was. That does cover what was on the brag table. I will show you what the smalls exchange items were, but before I do that, I thought I'd show you some whips. I got in before a lot of people were in the room and just went around and took pictures of people's whips. We know that a lot of people, maybe this was their first chatelaine, maybe they couldn't bring chatelaines that they've done because they were too huge to transport. We didn't require people to have full finishes on the brag table because I understand it's hard to complete a chatelaine, so I don't know who these necessarily belong to, but I thought I would include them in here so they could be a part of the brag table. They did a show of hands of how many people, and I think there was at least 10 people that started their first chatelaine at the retreat. And there were also a number, I think, of people whose first experience with a chatelaine was the water garden sale. So a lot of credit goes to Amy and Maggie for getting people more encouraged and excited and less nervous about doing chatelaines and having the support. I know one person mentioned that they were attracted to the retreat because of the teaching aspect of learning how to do the specialty stitches. So glad to see that experience. And we did have a few people that were willing to pose with their whips. And this is Alma, and she's got her beaded butterfly tile, I think is this one. And this is Shay, and I don't remember exactly which whip she was working on. And this is Sharon, and I believe this was her first chatelaine. And there was an optional smalls exchange at the retreat. Unfortunately, I don't know who all participated. A lot of them weren't tagged. I know a few of them. This was a fantastic octopus piece with big octopus needle minder and some shells and some floss. And I believe this one was from April. I know she's from Michigan, so that's her home state. So she did a little Michigan piece in a little box that looked like a little suitcase or a little traveling chest. And this was Martina's roses turned into a biscornu. And again, not sure exactly who it was. But here it is, the side angle on it, and then upside down all the detail on it. So it was a cute idea to turn that into a biscornu. And this had a little owl ornament, a little beaded owl, and it had a mug that said, "My perfect day," and wake up, cross stitch, eat breakfast, cross stitch, eat lunch, cross stitch, eat dinner, cross stitch, go to bed. And this lovely pillow was done by Nicola, who came all the way from the UK. It's got a little Union Jack in there, and so that was a nice touch to have a reminder of that retreat from somebody from the UK. And I know this one was from Linda. Linda was kind enough to give me a ride. We arrived at the airport about the same time, and she was renting a car, so she drove me in from the airport, and I appreciate that. We ended up sitting together at the same table, so enjoyed meeting her. And she did this lovely little pouch with a queen crown on it and a great needle book that she made. Unfortunately, I did a video of this and I wasn't able to get it to load from my phone into the editing software. Fortunately, I did take some still shots so I could include the pictures in here, but I didn't get a picture of the back of that needle book because she had stitched on both sides of the little needle book, and just a beautiful scissor, and she did this great fob. I've never seen a fob done with buttons, and so very, very nice job by Linda. And this is a dragon biscornu from the Tiny Modernist. Again, I wish I knew who this was by, and if I had the video I could show you what the underside looks like, but I didn't get that in still photos. And this lovely little beaded purse is a magnet or a needle minder, and this was done by Rosie from the Philippines, who was also at my table. And this bag was personalized with Chatelaine Weekend, a lovely floral C and a butterfly there. Nice job on that bag. And this one was identified as something for the Q-snap or Nurge hoop lover, and so it has a grime guard, and it's got an Ort catcher box thing, and some fancy floss, and a pair of socks, and everything you need to stitch. And this is a pretty bookmark with some beautiful roses on there. Again, not sure who stitched this, but it's a lovely piece. And this beautiful sunflower needle book inside a pouch was done by Becky Kay. There's a little plaque on the back that she had engraved with the Chatelaine Weekend 2025 and her name. So that was very nice detail. And this one I know because this is the one I gave. This is my first attempt at actually making a pillow. I think I was going to try to make it into some sort of pin cushion, but it was a little larger than that. I used the swans that are on the Lake Como design, and so they're kind of on a diagonal, and then I put the font for the Chatelaine Weekend 2025 that I had created on that. I wrapped it up in some fabric and tied it up with a piece of bric-a-brac and threw in a piece of fancy floss. And here's a picture of it I took at home, and somebody turned it over to look at it, and I told them the first rule of cross stitch is to never look at the back, because I don't do a lot of sewing. That's my first pillow, so that's my contribution for the Smalls Exchange. I did modify this. I took the little section on the top that had the over one stitching in it, because I'm no fool. I wasn't going to stitch that again, so I'm not looking forward to the other 3 times I have to stitch it. I've only done it once so far, so did a little bit of change on this one. And this is what I received. I was very excited when I opened this up because I immediately knew I'd seen this on her Flosstube. This was from Amy, and I know that she likes to make these pouches. I think I actually saw this pouch on one of her Flosstubes, and so it was very, very exciting. It's the cutest sheep in the world. So I was very pleased to get that, and I was excited to see that. She also included an adorable pair of sheep scissors and some of her floss that she dyes from Oak Crown Studio, and some floss drops. So very exciting to get that from Amy. Now I've got a few pictures of this next one. Unfortunately, Christine was not able to attend at the last minute, but she was able to send her Smalls Exchange, and so this is what she sent, and it's this beautiful fish ornament, and these beautiful scissors, and it's got this lovely tassel, blue tassel, with some beads on it. So sorry I couldn't make it, Christine. We very much missed you, and hope that you were able to enjoy watching this video and kind of feel like you were there. Christine is Painted Stitches 311 on Instagram. If you are interested in attending next year's Chatelaine Weekend Retreat, it will be held on July 23rd through the 25th, 2026. That's a Thursday through a Saturday, and registration will open soon. It's August 15th, 2025. You'll have 24 hours to fill out the registration form and submit it, and they will choose through lottery. There's going to be 144 seats this year, as opposed to the 44 that was done this time around, so got a better chance of getting it in. Payment is due September 1st of 2025, and the cost for the retreat just alone is $275, not including hotel, and it is in Charlotte, North Carolina. So visit the QueenCityStitchRetreat.com website and find out all the details about it. A huge thank you to Amy and Maggie for putting on this fantastic Chatelaine weekend. It is a wonderful time. I never in my life thought I would see this many Chatelaines in one place in person. And next year it's going to be over 3 times more Chatelaines because they're going to expand to 144. So hope to see you next year. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate that. I hope this outside camera gives you a little bit better view of the shiny stuff. And we will see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.